The email arrived at 6:12 a.m., 3 hours before my PhD graduations. Congratulations, Dr. Armin Hale. At 6:14 my mother texted, we won't make it. Something came up. At 6:15, I learned my parents had chosen my brother's girlfriend's birthday party over the day. I became everything they said I never would. I stood alone in the hotel bathroom, staring at my reflection in a rented suit that still had creases in it. 7 years of research. 14-hour days. Failed experiments. Public humiliations. Silent nights eating instant noodles while my family posted vacation photos. And now this. I laughed, softly at first. A dry, broken sound. The mirror didn't laugh back. The ceremony hall was massive. Thousands of names echoed through the speakers. Families stood, cheered, cried. When they called my name, there was no one to stand for me, no camera flashes, no arms waiting. I shook hands with strangers and smiled like a professional ghost. Afterward, I checked social media. There they were. My parent. His girlfriend Leela, wearing a tiara like she'd cured cancer herself. Pink balloons, cake. Candles. The caption my mother wrote sliced deeper than any insult. A family is everything, so proud of all my kids. I didn't comment, I didn't call, I didn't fight. That's when they made their first mistake. Weak people explode. Dangerous people go quiet. I went home 2 days later. The house smelled the same, lemon cleaner and denial. My mother hugged me like she was checking a box. Oh good, you're back, she said. Leela loved her party. You should have seen the cake. I nodded. I saw. My father barely looked up from the TV. PhD's done now. Right, so what's next? What's next? Not we're proud of you. Not we're sorry. Just utility. My brother Daniel grinned from the kitchen. Hey doc, no hard feelings, yeah. Leela's birthday only happens once a year. I looked at him, the golden child. College dropout. Family business heir. The son who failed upward because my parents built ladders under his feet while pulling mine away. No hard feelings, I said. And I meant it. Over the next year, I became exactly what they expected: invisible. I took a consulting job overseas, quiet salary. No bragging, no updates. I sent birthday texts. Holiday emojis. Smiles without teeth. Meanwhile, I worked. I knew the family business inside out. I'd grown up watching it. I knew its shortcuts, its lies. Its illegal accounting tricks hidden under creative bookkeeping. I knew which government contracts were barely legal, and which weren't legal at all. And I knew one more thing. They were planning to expand. That's when I made my move. I joined the firm that audited government infrastructure contracts, the same contracts my family company desperately wanted. I didn't use my last name. I didn't need to. One by one, I flagged irregularities, softly, casually, like I was bored. Then I waited. The investigation started quietly, then loudly, then catastrophically. I watched from a distance as the company's accounts were frozen. News articles popped up. Family. Owned firm under federal scrutiny. My phone rang for the first time in months. Armin, my mother whispered, panic leaking through every word. Do you know anything about this? I looked at the skyline outside my apartment, calm. Untouchable. I work in research, Mom, I said. Remember, the trials were brutal. Contracts pulled. Partners vanished. My father aged 10 years in 6 months. Daniel drank himself into stupidity, screaming about betrayal without knowing where it came from. And Leela. She left. Turns out love gets very conditional when the money evaporates. The final blow came at Daniel's court hearing. He stood in front of the judge shaking. My parents sat behind him hollow-eyed. Then the prosecution introduced their expert witness, Dr. Armin Hale. The room inhaled. My mother's mouth fell open. My father looked like someone had finally explained gravity to him. Daniel turned slowly, recognition curdling into horror. I met his eyes. No smile, no anger. Just inevitability. On the stand I spoke calmly, precisely. I dismantled the company my family worshipped like a god. Every sentence was a brick removed from their foundation. When it was over, Daniel was sentenced. The company collapsed. My parents lost everything they protected more fiercely than me. Outside the courthouse, my mother tried to speak. I'm sorry, she sobbed. We didn't know. We never meant. I interrupted her gently. You did know, I said. You just didn't care. She reached for me. I stepped back. Months later I received an invitation. Daniel's birthday. No cake this time. Just a small gathering. Apologies prepared like speeches. I didn't go instead. I posted one photo online. My graduation picture, alone, captioned simply, "Some milestones don't need witnesses. They need consequences." I never spoke to them again. And the silence. It finally learned my name. The silence didn't scream, it just waited. Weeks passed. Then months. My phone stayed still like a body at the bottom of a lake. I learned how loud peace could be when no one was asking me for forgiveness they didn't deserve. But revenge never ends when the world thinks it does. It just changes shape. I moved cities again, new skyline, new rhythm. I stopped correcting people when they mispronounced my name. I like being slightly out of focus. Powerful things don't announce themselves. One night, while reviewing a proposal in my apartment, an unfamiliar number lit up my phone. I didn't answer. The voicemail came anyway. "Armin, it's Dad." I hadn't heard his voice in over a year. It sounded smaller. Thinner. Like a man calling from inside a collapsed building. "We're losing the house. I know I don't deserve to ask. But if there's anything left in you, anything." I deleted the message halfway through. Not out of anger. Out of clarity. They always called when they were losing something. They never called when I was. The next morning, a junior analyst knocked on my office door, eyes wide. "You're not gonna believe this," she said. "The Hale case, there's more, way more." Of course there was. Corruption is a hydra. You cut one head off, it bleeds into others. As I read through the new documents, I realized my family hadn't just cheated the system, they'd built a quiet empire on other people's silence. Workers unpaid. Suppliers bullied, local officials bribed. I felt something then, not satisfaction, responsibility. So I kept going. Behind closed doors. I became the name executives flinched at. I never raised my voice. I never threatened. I just asked questions that couldn't be outrun. Why does this invoice exist twice? Who approved this transfer? Why does your signature match his handwriting? People broke quickly when you let them talk long enough. The media started calling me the ghost auditor. I hated the nickname. Ghosts are accidents. I was intentional one evening. As rain stitched the city together outside my window, I ran into Daniel. Not planned, not dramatic. He was stacking boxes in the back of a liquor store. Wearing a uniform 2 sizes too big, his hands shook when he saw me. "Armin," he said. I waited. "I didn't know it would go that far," he whispered. "I swear. I studied him. The brother who used to steal my spotlight. The man who never learned what it cost others to keep him warm." "You never know," I said. "That's the point." He swallowed. "Do you hate me?" I thought about it. Hate requires intimacy. I felt none. "I don't think about you," I said. That one landed harder than any accusation. He nodded like he'd been punched somewhere internal and permanent. When I left, I didn't look back. Later that night, my mother emailed me. A long message. Apologies braided with memories, photos attached, childhood birthdays, smiles I barely remembered wearing. At the end, one line stood out. "We just want our family back." I closed the laptop. Family isn't something you reclaim after neglecting it. It's something you protect before it needs rescuing. The world kept moving. So did I. I started mentoring students who reminded me of myself, brilliant, exhausted, overlooked. I taught them how to document everything. How to stay patient. How to build leverage quietly. Never announce your breaking point, I told them. Let it arrive disguised as opportunity. Sometimes, late at night, the memories tried to crawl back in. The empty seat at my graduation. The applause meant for someone else's girlfriend. The way my mother's silence had felt louder than any insult. But pain loses power when it's no longer asking for permission. A year after the trial, the government invited me to consult on a national reform initiative. My name appeared on the announcement. Full name. No hiding. Messages flooded in. Former colleagues. Strangers. Even extended family members who suddenly remembered my birthday. I answered none of them. Instead, I stood on a stage in front of hundreds of young researchers and spoke about accountability. About systems. About what happens when excellence grows in neglect. After the talk, a student asked quietly, "How did you survive being invisible for so long?" I paused. "I stopped waiting to be seen," I said. And started building something that couldn't be ignored. That night, I walked home alone. The city lights reflected in puddles like fractured mirrors. I checked my phone one last time. Another voicemail. My mother again. I didn't listen. Some stories don't need closure, they need distance. And somewhere far behind me, a family finally learned what it felt like to be absent at the moment that mattered most. I kept walking. The next chapter didn't announce itself with drama. It arrived like weather, slow, unavoidable, reshaping everything it touched. 2 years passed. Power has a strange gravity. The more of it you gain, the quieter your life becomes. No chaos, no begging, just doors opening before you touch them. I bought a house overlooking the river. Floor to ceiling windows. No family photos. No trophies. Just space, control. Silence that belonged to me. On my 40th birthday I received a letter. Not an email, not a voicemail. A letter. My mother's handwriting was smaller now, like she was afraid to take up space even on paper. Your father passed away last night. No apology this time. No manipulation. Just a sentence, naked and trembling. I sat on the edge of my bed for a long time. I waited for something dramatic to rise inside me. Anger. Relief. Grief. Nothing came. I attended the funeral. Not for him, for myself. The church was half empty. The kind of crowd that comes out of obligation, not love. My mother looked fragile. Folded inward like paper creased too many times. Daniel stood beside her, older than he should have been, life having finally collected its debt. When I walked in, the room shifted. Whispers rippled like disturbed water. He came back. After everything. The audacity. I took a seat in the back. Alone. The priest spoke about legacy. About forgiveness. About family bonds that transcend mistakes. I almost laughed. After the service my mother approached me, tentative. I didn't think you'd come, she said. I didn't come for you, I replied gently. She nodded, as if she'd expected that answer all along. Daniel stood nearby, eyes hollow. He looked at me like a man staring at a locked door he no longer had the keys to. I'm trying, he said suddenly. I really am. I believed him. It didn't matter. I know, I said. But effort doesn't erase damage. That was the first time he cried without trying to hide it. Later, alone by the grave, I watched them lower the casket. My father, the man who taught me discipline but never tenderness. Who praised obedience but feared excellence when it wasn't his own. I felt no triumph. Only closure sharpened into steel. As I turned to leave, my mother whispered, "He was proud of you. He just didn't know how to say it." I stopped. Then I spoke without turning around. Then he died not knowing how to love his son. I left before she could respond. Weeks later, the government inquiry wrapped up its final phase. Dozens of companies fell, policies changed. Whistleblower protections strengthened. Quietly, my fingerprints were everywhere. I declined interviews. I didn't need the spotlight anymore. I'd already reshaped the room. One evening, I received a call from a university dean. "Would like to offer you an honorary chair," she said. "Your work has changed how we teach ethics in research." I accepted on one condition. No ceremonies, no speeches. Just work. On my first day, I passed the auditorium where graduations were held. Rows of empty seats. I paused longer than necessary. I imagined my younger self there waiting. Scanning the crowd, hope cracking by the second. I wanted to reach back through time and say, "They won't come, and that will save you." That night, I opened a folder on my computer I hadn't touched in years. My dissertation. The dedication page was still blank. I stared at it. Then I typed, "For the version of me who learned to stand alone when no one showed up." I closed the file. The past didn't need rewriting. It needed acknowledgement. Months later, my mother tried once more. A single text, "I'm sick. Doctors don't know how long." I stared at the screen. I wished her no pain. I owed her no presence. I replied, "They're comfortable." Nothing more, because revenge isn't cruelty, it's precision. The final update came a year later. She passed quietly. No drama. No last words meant for me. Daniel sent a message. "I understand now why you never came back. I just wish I'd understood sooner." I didn't respond. Understanding after consequence is just memory wearing regret's clothes. On the 10th anniversary of my graduation, I stood on a stage, same university, same hall. This time, as the keynote speaker. The room was full. Parents everywhere, cameras raised, applause waiting. I began without a smile. Achievement doesn't need witnesses to be real, I said. But neglect leaves fingerprints. And someday those fingerprints will be studied. The room went silent. I finished to a standing ovation. Afterward, a young man approached me, eyes burning with something familiar. My family doesn't believe in me, he said. They think I'm wasting my time. I looked at him carefully. Then don't waste it proving them wrong, I said. Waste it becoming undeniable. When I returned home that night, the river outside my window was calm, unbothered, persistent. I poured a drink and sat in the dark, no rage, no hunger, no ghosts. Just a man who had outgrown the room that once tried to shrink him. They missed my graduation. But they never missed the consequences. And I never missed them. The story should have ended there, clean, final, quiet. But endings only belong to people who stop growing. 5 years later, the call came from a number I didn't recognize. Carrying an accent I did, Dr. Hale, the voice said, careful, respectful. This is the ministry, we need you. I listened. A multinational infrastructure project had collapsed, figuratively and literally. A bridge overseas failed inspection days before opening. Billions at stake. Political careers on the line. Someone had hidden flaws so elegantly they'd fooled every system except one. Mine? I flew out that night. The site smelled like rust and river water. Engineers argued. Politicians deflected. Everyone wanted speed, no one wanted truth. I walked the structure alone at dawn. Palm against cold steel, eyes tracing stress patterns like scars. I knew this language. Knew where lies like to hide. By noon I found it. A design shortcut buried 3 layers deep, approved by a consultant who no longer existed on paper. A shell name. A ghost. Except ghosts always leave footprints. The company responsible was a rebrand. New logo, new board. Same spine, Hale Industrial Solutions. I stared at the name longer than necessary, Daniel. He hadn't rebuilt the old empire. He'd resurrected it. Smarter. Still rotten. I didn't call and I didn't warn him. I wrote my report clinical. Merciless. Impossible to ignore. By the time the findings went public, markets trembled. Governments froze contracts. International warrants followed. Daniel tried to reach me then. Calls. Messages. An email marked URGN, please. Just talk to me. I remembered the night before my graduation years ago. How I'd stared at my phone. Waiting for a call that never came, I replied with one sentence. This is me talking. The trial was global. Televised. Translators. Headlines in 6 languages. They called me to testify again. I took the stand like it was a familiar chair. Daniel looked smaller than I remembered. Not broken, exposed. Like someone who'd spent his life in costume and finally been seen without it. When our eyes met, he mouthed something. I'm sorry. I nodded once. Sorry is a sound. Consequences are a language. After the verdict, a reporter cornered me outside the courthouse. Do you feel like this is revenge? She asked. I considered the word. No, I said, revenge is personal. This is alignment. She didn't understand. That was fine. That night alone in my hotel room, I finally dreamed about my graduation again. But it was different. The hall was empty. No applause, no chairs, just me walking across the stage, diploma in hand, the echo of my footsteps the only witness. I woke up smiling. Time passed the way it does when nothing is chasing you. I built programs, funded scholarships, quietly rewired systems so fewer people had to earn excellence in isolation. I never married, never had children. Not out of fear, out of intention. My life was full without replacements. On my 55th birthday, a package arrived, no return address. Inside was a single item. My dissertation dedication page printed. Framed. On the back, a note in unfamiliar handwriting. You taught me how to survive being unseen. I graduated today. My family didn't come either. But I didn't look for them. I sat down. That one hit. Because impact isn't measured by who claps for you. It's measured by who stands up because you existed. Years later, older now, slower, I returned to the university one last time. The same hall, same stage, different bones. They were naming a research wing after me. I tried to refuse. They insisted. As the curtain lifted, I looked out at the crowd. Rows of parents, students, lives still unbroken by disappointment. For a brief moment, I saw my younger self again. Standing in the aisle, unsure, hungry, hopeful. I spoke without notes. I was once told that family is everything, I said. I believed it until I learned something harder. Presence is everything. And absence teaches faster than love ever will. Silence. I wasn't abandoned. I continued. I was redirected. A pause. To anyone here who has ever been overlooked, who has ever watched others celebrate while your name was called into empty space, know this. My voice didn't shake. That moment did not break you. It selected you. When the applause came, it was thunderous. But I didn't need it. That night, alone again, I walked through the campus gardens. The air smelled like rain and old books. I stopped by the hall. Lights off, doors locked. I pressed my hand to the glass. For the first time, I didn't feel the need to go inside. Because the truth was finally complete. They skipped my graduation. They skipped my becoming. And by the time they realized what they'd missed, I was already untouchable.